And good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Beck McQuilty, and I would love to welcome you here to the Frequency Soul Collective. I am a neurolinguistic kinesiologist, psychic counselor, and bioresonance practitioner here on the southwest side of Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. As you can probably tell by my accent, because I know that we've got friends from all over the world today, and I'm so excited to join you all and welcome you to our collaborative. We have two very, very special guests today that, I listen to their education and the work that they do, and it always, I'm just in awe of their knowledge and their passion more than anything for the health and wellness space, and to be able to help other people. And I thought, gosh, what if I was able to actually bring them on a call and share them with you all? And they were so gracious and amazing to agree to do that for us today. So I'm not going to waste absolutely any time talking. All that I can recommend is that at the end of this call, if you have questions, if you want to know more, whatever the case may be, please reach out to the person who has invited you to this call, because I know that they'll be so excited to share more with you. So in the meantime, and I'll ask our speakers to please just unmute yourself when you come on to chat, but I've got lots of questions for you today, and I know these ladies already. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to the amazing Becky Coots-Kimberly. She is a powerhouse practitioner who has been practicing for over 25 years and utilizes a full body holistic approach, which I love, to healing and restoring functional movement. She is a licensed massage therapist, personal trainer, CrossFit coach, functional medicine practitioner. I get goosebumps just talking about her, and I'm not even cold. Certified holistic health practitioner and Lyme specialist. She is a traditional naturopathic doctor and physical therapist assistant, and is completing her PhD with Quantum University as a doctor of natural medicine. So we would love to welcome you here today, Becky. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Beck, for having me. I really just love this device and I love talking about it. So you can ask whatever you want. My brain is yours.
Yes. Oh my gosh. How long have we got? I know I sent you a question. You were like, how long is this going to go for? I'm like, man, if I can have you all day, I will, but I promise you will stick to an hour.
We'll do my best.
It's so wonderful to have you. And, I love that, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Becky's just brought out some training and education on gut health. And gut health is something I'm really passionate about after healing myself from an incurable disease called Crohn's disease many years ago. And I have been completely free of that disease for about 7 or 8 years now. But I also know, Dr. Becky, that I have so much more still to learn. And even in the snapshots of what I've listened to in regards to you talking about gut health, it just blows my mind that there's so much more that then I can not only help myself and my family with. I've got a family that's full of autoimmune diseases, that I'm actually going to be able to help them with the education that I receive. So I'm really excited to do that course with you. So thank you for taking the time to really help other people as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would love to ask you first and foremost, if you could just tell us a little bit more about your background and your passion for the health and wellness space.
Well, so I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And as you can see and how everything evolved, I've always been in the health and wellness space, but things have shifted. My functional medicine journey started in about 2016, where I found out that I had chronic Lyme and was undiagnosed for almost, 15 or 16 years. So I was being treated for Hashimoto's, which I did have, but Lyme disease was what was driving that bus, which was why I was never getting better. And I was getting worse every year, getting sicker, and then have just a litany list of issues. So I met my functional medicine doctor in 2016, and he's basically the one who saved me. He is no longer with me. His year anniversary of his death was on Tuesday. He died very suddenly. But he's the one who's taught me everything that I know. He essentially became my mentor. He essentially, got me interested in the whole other aspect of health and healing that conventional medicine just doesn't deal with. And then through that journey, I started helping other people in the same situation as me. There's tons of people walking around that have chronic illness and autoimmune disease, and conventional medicine just is at a loss with those people. So through that, then I believe it was 2009, no, it was 2020, when the world shut down and I almost lost my practice because I was a massage therapist and I couldn't work for 6 months, was when I started looking into, the scanner fell into my lap. I went back to school and did the traditional naturopathy route. So it just opened up a lot of doors for me to, be able to help people, and then to be able to do that globally and not just in my town and in my state.
Yeah, I love that so much. And, how incredible to have a mentor like that that can teach you along the way. And I have a similar journey in the sense that I was chronically unwell. And so you go looking for a solution when, allopathic medicine, definitely has its place, and I'm so grateful for it. But there are times where they just only know what they know. And for me, I wasn't happy with going on medication and having operations and having parts of my bowel removed. And all of those things just didn't sound like a good outcome to me. And, I had this belief that I could cure myself. And so all that I had to do was go and look. And I love that you, as well as I, found a mentor that was able to help us through that and really lead you down a path of incredible journey with education on really opening up this space. So I love that. And in that, you are mentioning about the scanning device, which is our bioresonance. We call it a wellness center in our hand, because if there's one thing we learned about 2020 was, more than ever, it was time for us to take back our own control of our health. Because again, medicine is amazing in the sense of they have what they have and they can help us to a certain degree, but they don't know everything. And for us to be able to take that control back and look at different aspects of our health is just so, so powerful. So I love that. So I would love to ask you, how did you come across the AOScan bioresonance device?
Well, so I was actually in the middle of a Lyme flare for the second time. That started when I was overtraining. I had made it into the Masters qualifier for the CrossFit Open, or for the CrossFit Games, and overtraining, changing my carbohydrate sources, cortisol, adrenals got tanked. I crashed my thyroid, Lyme came back. I believe it was August of 2020 or September, I don't remember. My friend Nadia, everyone knows Nadia Lutz.
Yeah.
Her and I were in a bunch of Lyme groups, and I was kind of hitting a wall with, why wasn't I coming through Lyme the second time like I did the first time? Still eating all the right foods, still doing all the right protocols, the detoxes, but I wasn't really getting better. Something was missing. So Nadia had offered me a free scan, and I just had this brain fog that I could not shake. And I'll never forget it. It was a Friday at 12:30 that she scanned me, and the brain fog went away like that and never came back. And I didn't know when she was going to scan me. So, she just scanned me and then sent me the report. So when we talked the next day, I had said to her, I'm like, what time did you scan me on Friday? She's like, at 12:30. And I was like, oh, that's the exact same time that the brain fog stopped. I kind of felt like something changed in my body. Like I could feel something happening, but I couldn't really explain it.
Yeah.
So in the interim, I was already researching multiple bioresonance and frequency devices, because I wanted to have something at home that I could use to help work with myself. And most of you probably know these devices are super expensive and pricey, thousands of dollars. And then you need training on top of it because they're complicated to use. So when we talked the next day, she's telling me all about this device and how easy to use, and it's a phone. And I was just all over it. I said, what is this? I want it. I didn't even ask her how much it was. That's how badly I wanted this thing. So when she told me how much it was, I was like, is this a joke?
Yeah. I said the same thing. I'm like, Is that monthly?
I was like, where's the catch? I'm like, I literally just almost bought a GB 4000. And she was like, no, it's not a catch. And I literally, I got it the next day and signed up. And, obviously you can see how things have developed from there. I just
Yeah.
took it and went with it. But it's just, for me and my family, like, it's just been a lifesaver. And then for all the clients that I get to work with every day, and being able to sit down and connect everyone's dots on their scans, it's invaluable information, and everyone needs to have one of these in their house.
I could not agree more, 100%. And, I could literally sit here for hours, as I'm sure you could, just like the testimonials of what we've experienced in our own family, let alone clients. So, as you talk, I have this warm, fuzzy feeling inside, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, this is the passion for what we do. This is it, right? Like, we are literally sitting in it right now. And I just love that so much because we've helped ourselves to be better. And we know that it's not only an option, but it's so possible, that we just want it for so many others that it really are suffering. And as you say, like, there are so many people out there that are unwell. One, maybe don't even know it. And two, don't even know that there is an option to be better. So for those who don't really understand bioresonance or frequency work, do you mind just taking a moment just to explain a little about the frequencies and how they actually work and bioresonance itself?
Well, that can be a lengthy conversation, but there's lots of examples. Sometimes people are confused about, like, well, how is it getting to me? You don't need any DNA, or, how does it know where I'm at in the United States? And I'm like, well, I just need this information. We establish quantum entanglement. So I'm actually studying quantum physics. So a lot of this makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Sometimes, years past it didn't, because we don't see a lot of this stuff, but yet, we're doing a Zoom right now. How is that happening?
Yeah.
Um, Cell phones, you dial up, let's say I dial up someone's cell phone number, only that number is going to ring, not the other 10 that are in the room, because I dialed up that number, or I'm dialing up your profile.
Mm.
And the other things that we use every day are MRIs, ultrasounds, um, let's see, your Apple Watch, a heart rate monitor, a body fat scale, even, you know, people who are monitoring people's pacemakers from the doctor's office. Like, nobody questions that stuff. It's all
Yeah.
using the same technology. And then you even think way back when they were sending shortwave radio to the astronauts.
Mm.
You don't see that stuff happening, but we all know it exists, and we all know it happens. We all know that quantum entanglement is a thing. Like, you
Yeah.
can think about somebody, and then a minute later the phone rings and it's them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of examples when people are kind of just like, I don't understand how this is working. And then I usually kind of go through a few of those examples till they're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think when people see the results of their reports as well, that just finishes it right there, because
Yeah.
they are mind blown with not only what emotionally comes up for them. And, I was only talking to a girlfriend this morning who wants me to help her with a client. And I said to her, because she's asked me for a doctor referral, and when she told me what was wrong with her, I said, you know what? This is emotional. We need to start with her emotions. I said, refer her to me. I will help her from an emotional perspective. I can scan her and really see what's going on in the body. And the accuracy is just absolutely mind blowing. So I love that.
Yeah.
And could you share with us, probably, I guess there's maybe one testimony that stands out to you that was like an absolute game changer for you? What's your favorite kind of testimonial?
I have plenty. um,
Yeah.
Probably the most dramatic one that people still are like, really, that happened. I had a friend in Holland who broke out in a herpes rash, and 24 hours later it was gone. That
Wow.
was like early on when we could stack frequencies. And I think I just ran nerve inflammation, I think, sciatic nerve, and herpes.
Mm,
Um, and I think that might have been a month or two of me using the device. So knowing, because herpes is something that you see, it's not like,
yes.
and it was gone. And I was like, holy crap, like, this is just amazing. Um,
Yeah.
and then I've had a couple of other, like, I know we're not diagnosing, and I know this is educational, but I had a client, the scanner found an L4 L5 pars fracture
Mm,
before the X-ray did. Um,
wow.
I had actually, when I was in Florida, my girlfriend was texting me from the hospital. She was in there with a blood clot. It
Mm.
went from her leg and then into her lungs. And I'm on the other end with the scanner, scanning. And I'm literally seeing everything that she's telling me. You know, it saw the clot in the left leg. It saw the clot in the left lung. And I was just amazed that like she's telling me all this, and yet the scanner's reflecting all that education and information back to me at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I had something else. I had a family member who was actually in the hospital with pancreatitis, and same thing. I could literally see on my end everything that the hospital was saying, everything that they were finding. They found a cyst on the pancreas. The scanner had, I think, found I think that it had said pancreatic abscess or something.
Mm.
So it's crazy. Sometimes I'm just like, I can't believe that it's this sensitive and is picking up and finding some of these things, which is great because then I can tell the client, like, hey, I think you need to go get more blood work done, or maybe you need to go get this test done, you know,
Yeah.
just to confirm. But yeah, I have story after story after story.
Yeah, I agree. One of mine recently, my mum was taken into emergency. She had this major pain in her face, and the general practitioner had given her like antibiotics for an earache. But anyway, it wasn't even in her ear. And anyway, we got to the hospital, and they're doing the testing and everything. And one of the things that I really love about this technology is being able to scan people and see what it's not. Because, you know, here we are as a family. Sorry, that's my dog barking. Abby, I'm on a call with lots of people. Could you stop? Live, right? And you know, they come into the room and they tell mum. I walk in and mum's crying, and I'm like, what's the matter? And they're like, she's like, oh, they think I have lymphoma. And I'd already scanned her because, you know, 12 months ago, we'd been down this track with her and we knew that it wasn't. So I scanned her again, and I looked at the bloods and the blood lipids, and I went through and I said, Mum, I'm telling you right now, you do not have lymphoma. I said, I know that they're going to test for it, but I can rest assure you right now that's not what it is. The next thing they came to her with was a blocked carotid artery. Now, we all know what's probably going to happen if you have a blocked carotid artery, and the ending is not a nice one. And at first it does, it just makes you, it's petrifying. And mum's like, what's going to happen to me? So I went back and looked at her scan, and her carotid artery was like perfectly in alignment. But around the carotid artery, the blood vessels were really angry, like they were inflamed and, you know, and critical to a degree, in the sense that they were not happy. And so I said to her, I was able to say to her, Mum, the actual artery itself is okay. I said, there is something going on around with the blood vessels. There's definitely inflammation in the blood vessels, but that's as far as I could take it. You know, I didn't know what that meant. You know, only a few days later, she was diagnosed with phase syndrome, which is inflammation of the blood vessels around the carotid artery. And all that
Wow.
they can do for that is, pain medication. So then I would run frequency for her to be able to assist her with that. But to have that knowledge of what it wasn't was so powerful. So but time after time, as you say, like as the days go on, and, you know, the clients, your family, the testimonials that you get are just absolutely incredible. And I just love them so much. So I would love to ask you, so how do you incorporate the bioresonance into your practice?
Well, so most people know that I do something called DNA, which is dynamic neuromuscular assessment. So it's a sophisticated form of functional neurology or applied kinesiology. And this year I just started teaching it for my mentor, Joseph Schwartz. Now, the reason why I say that is because DNA is a template. So once you learn that template, you can use it for anything. So that's how I read scans and reports. So as I'm working through clients and doing a Zoom session or an in-person session, and they might come in for something structural, I may be pulling up the database, looking at the L5 vertebrae, but then find a specific emotion that's attached to that vertebrae, go through the DNA template, figure out what I need to clear, you know, and then do I have permission to do that? Is the nervous system ready to do that? I can do that with anything that's physiological, anything that's structural, and anything that's limbic. So with using the DNA template, I use the scanner hand in hand with that. And for me, and I don't think my mentor thought that I was going to do this, I was like, why can't I use the template to navigate and go through scans so I know which infections I need to work on first, or if adrenals are a priority over the vagus, So again, I can break all that down and kind of hone in on what are the key things that we really need to be focusing on to maybe work with someone's structural pain when they come in to see me, or maybe someone does have an adrenal problem. I can run all those different scans, and then you guys know with the database, you can hone in and get more particular. We could see if it's a bacteria, we could see if it's an emotion, we could see if it's something structural. There's a lot of time, there's many times that just a lumbar spine adjustment can help the adrenals. So having all that information, which I know having all that information is overwhelming for a lot of people, but that's why I like using the DNA template, because I can take all that information and kind of prioritize where the starting point is, and then what is the primary, what is the secondary, and is it safe to proceed and clear? And I can't really say too much more without giving out the template, but I use it every day. People come in for functional medicine appointments. I'm using the vitals a lot. I have all the supplements that I can use to kind of look against the vitals report and see, what needs what. Comprehensive, I use a lot of if I'm doing structural work, if I need to do any type of DNA on maybe someone has back pain, pelvic floor problem, pronated feet, a C1, C2 vertebrae that's out. And then again, I primarily like using the database for the emotional limbic work that I do, coupled with inner voice. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use the device. Jen and I like to kind of help a lot of people on our team. Not everyone does what we do. So, simple things like a massage therapist, you could just run the inner voice when that person comes in, lay them on the table, go about your business, do your massage, let them listen to the inner voice tones. You could take that a step further and ask them how they're feeling. Let me make a Cephi playlist for you and broadcast that to you while I'm working on you.
Yeah.
Or, and I used to do this when I was working in person. I would imprint their glasses or their water that they brought in, or a piece of jewelry, so they could take the frequencies with them. So there's so many things that you can do. I ship out Cephi dots all the time for people. People buy them in packs of 3 or 5. I imprint things. I've actually sent frequencies to the dot remotely, which is like a whole other thing. We run groups, the whole group thing, like that's been phenomenal. Running Cephi groups is like a no-brainer because people don't have to do anything. You just broadcast frequencies for 2 hours, and it's a good way to introduce people into frequencies without being like, oh, I need a piece of hair, or I need a nail, or I need all this information. You don't need any of that. So Jen and I like to kind of brainstorm and help people figure out like how they can use the device in their practice, because not everyone's going to do what I'm doing. And I know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm the same when I do see people in person. I work mostly online now, that's why the device is great for me, because same thing, I can run it remotely as well. But when I have people in person, I will put a playlist on for them and run it whilst I'm doing their kinesiology session. Always just being able to send them what they need is just perfect. So I wanted to ask you, do you recommend this device just for practitioners, or I know you were saying before that you think everyone should have one. Why is that?
Because it's so powerful. And what I do with my clients and my gut program is I teach people basically how to take care of themselves. I have an 82-year-old who just scans and optimizes every day. She doesn't look at the reports. She doesn't care. The device is helping her, So again, I think people look at what I'm doing and they're like, oh my God, I can't do that. That's way too complicated. I'm like, you don't have to. All you have to do is scan and optimize every day. Listen to your inner voice. Don't make it hard. Maybe put some supplements in. The supplements alone are going to save you tons of money. So at the end of the 6-month program that I have with my clients, I really emphasize that you need to get this, at least a subscription. That way I kind of like then take you under my wing. You're still part of my collective and my community. You get me as a mentor, so it's like an extension of I just taught you how to do everything. Let's use a subscription, play it out on your own. And then I'm here for support. And if you need other help. And it's actually really cool. I'll say this real quick. I had someone in my gut program who maybe 5 or 6 months down the road, some symptoms started coming back. So reached out to me. And then rather than do a whole full-blown functional medicine appointment, I just said to her, look, why don't we just do inner voice for 30 days? That's it. And see how you feel. And we did. And you know what happened? All of her symptoms went away. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to like run more blood work. I didn't have to do any fancy scans, tell her to take all these supplements. So yeah.
Such an incredible tool, isn't it? I know, like for myself yesterday, I was starting to get really overwhelmed with like my mum is still in hospital and I have, businesses to run and all sorts of things going on. And, when you can just feel yourself, just getting to a point. And I thought about it and I'm like, what would I normally do? I would go and, have a glass of wine if it was at nighttime or, and I'm like, use the device. So it's like I put myself in timeout sometimes and I'll run my inner voice and I'll just go lay down. And the shift that's so immediate to be able to take that stress away is if we used it for nothing else, I just believe that it would just be amazing just for that. But Dr. Becky, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you so much, and I can't wait to give you a big hug in September when I see you in person. But if you could please bring your table with you, because I'd like an appointment as well.
I can do that.
No, I'm just excited to see you and meet you in person. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you, but also to absolutely pick your brain with information because I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. So I'm going to introduce you now to the beautiful Tammy Ward. Tammy is an ordained reverend and sanctified healer. She's a trained iridologist, certified holistic coach, as well as a quantum wellness specialist, using an integrative approach with diet and lifestyle changes, along with using homeopathy and quantum frequencies to improve her clients' health. Working as a guide towards an overall healthier life, she will look at her clients' nutrition patterns, relationships, physical fitness, spirituality, and more. She uses this information to guide her clients to reach their health as well as their personal goals. Tammy has a passion for helping pets and is expanding into this area as she loves working with animals. So I am going to introduce you now to the beautiful Tammy Ward. Good morning, or in your case, good afternoon, Tammy. I'll just get you to unmute when you can.
Hello, lovely Beck. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you, beautiful?
I'm doing much better.
Good. I know. We've been talking a lot, and I'm not even going to start talking because otherwise we'll both start crying, and that's for those of you, Tammy has a beautiful pup that's just crossed over, and I've been assisting Tammy, and we've been talking just about that process. So yeah, we've been sending her lots and lots of love. So we really appreciate you being here today. And it's always wonderful to see you. And yeah, it's just amazing. So so we're going to ask you a few questions today, Tammy, just in regards to, the technology, how you're utilizing it. But first and foremost, could you tell us a little bit more about your background and what you do in the health and wellness space?
Sure. My journey kind of started in 1986 when I had a stomach bypass surgery done, and my health started to decline a little bit. So my parents had their own business, and I'd met for the very first time somebody that was into herbs, and she was also an iridologist. And was always wanting to be a doctor, as I got older. And when she was able to look at my eyes without me telling her anything about my health conditions, And then she was able to tell me what I had going on that I specifically needed help with. I was like, okay, I need to learn about this. So I learned about that, and I kind of had my birth trauma child.
Oh, we're losing you a little bit, Tammy. I think your internet connection may not be so great. I think you're frozen.
Can you hear, see me now?
You were frozen for a moment there.
Can you see or hear now?
Yep, we're good now.
Okay, and then I had my second child who was birth trauma, and then I kind of went off a little bit of deep end and got really sick again, and started down that health path again. And then someone introduced me to the AO scanner, and I had picked up my iridology practice once again. And that's how I came to know about the AO.
And how do you utilize the device in your practice now as an iridologist?
Anybody that has a session with me, I typically offer that to them as a side analysis, but I typically will do the iridology first, and then
Mhm.
we will confirm everything that I see in the eyes along with the AO scanner. So it's always spot on.
Yeah, amazing. And what attracted you to using the bioresonance device in the first place? What was it that you saw in it that you went, "Oh my gosh, I have to utilize this daily"?
A friend of mine actually scanned me in Pennsylvania, who is actually our upline. And once she sent me the reports, I was like, how does this know this about me? And I knew nothing really of any bioresonance. I had had Rife done on me as as a youngster. I'd had some other things done on me, but I really wasn't familiar with frequencies, and I had no idea what this device could even do. But I knew I needed it, so I said, "Sign me up."
Yeah. Yeah. I was very similar. The first time that I saw it, and the accuracy of what was coming up, I was like, "Oh my gosh, if this can do this for me, what could it do for my daughter, my animals, my pets, my husband?" I love that I put my animals and my pets before my husband. But anyway, I digress. And my clients and family, so yeah, absolutely. Tammy, I'd love to pick your brain a little bit more on the business side of it, because it's a bit of a loaded question, because I know that you are now the highest paid earner in the company. So I would love to ask you, is it a good, as I say, it's a loaded question, but is this a good option for an extra income stream for someone? And if so, why?
Most definitely. I've got several on my team that do it just for the extra income. I know even for my husband, I have got him an account started. Of course, now he's joined me full time, but whenever we started his account, he was signing up just a few. But he is, he makes maybe half of what he was making in the corporate world as a maintenance director. So it is I mean, it does take some time. You do have to put your work into it, and spend a lot of time doing it, but it's very lucrative. Our company is very generous with their comprehend or comp plan. So most definitely, if you can share it with people, and that's all you have to do is share it, then you're going to make some good money.
And I do think you're right. Like, it really comes from a space of being able to put the health and wellness for people back into their own hands and teach them how to do that. We've got really great support to be able to do that. But at the same time, not only have their device be paid for, and the software paid for monthly, that is absolutely an option, and very easy to do, but also to earn some extra income. For myself, I was in a corporate role up until October last year. And I started to get to a point where I didn't have time for my job anymore. And so I resigned, and I've been working within my own practice. I also have another business as well. And, you know, with the devices, sharing this between all of what I do full time. And it's been such a beautiful journey to be able to have that space and availability to do what I'm really passionate about, which is helping people. So I love that. I guess my question is to you though, there seems to be a lot to learn, particularly for those who don't know a lot about frequencies. Is this something that you have to do like some big course on, or is it something you learn as you go? Can you just share a little bit around that?
Well, whenever I started, there were no courses. There was nothing available in fact, the name was still AO Scan. It wasn't even Solex. We didn't become Solex until January of 21. And I started in September of 20. So there was no information out there. And all of us just learned as we went. We came up with our own content. We came up with our own research that we found on scalar waves, radionics, things like that. We had very little to go off of. And with me having no experience with frequencies, I had a lot to learn. And I still have a lot to learn. But I think it is, you can learn as you go, and we now have a beautiful Solex University. I have several mentors that have different courses that are actually free to that will help them kind of understand things just a little bit better if they want to get deeper into it. But honestly, if you've got a great sponsor, you should be able to hook up with your sponsor and be able to learn it. I know for myself, I make myself available anytime on a Zoom, let me show you, and then they'll have their scanner and I show them exactly what they need to be doing. So the key is just really sharing the people and, the people that you just make sure that you're available.
Yeah.
It can be a little daunting. It's pretty hang of it. And of course, now we have so many different things in the center. Honestly, if you just start with until you get the hang of it, then move on. But again, the Solex University, we have all the courses right there.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know that when I first started, for me, I was very similar. I didn't know a lot about frequency. I used to listen to frequency music. That's about as far as that went. I knew who Nikola Tesla was. That was kind of it. And I was the same as you. There was no university when I started. But I love that, there's the Solex LLC YouTube channel to an education every week. So I love that. And for me, I kind of just learned as I went. And I can tell you from when I started to now, my education just in general around the health and like the wellness of the body and my understanding of different aspects of it and how they're connected is so much more now than it was, 12, 18 months ago. And, one thing I love is homeopathy, but I don't really know a lot about it. And so for the first part, there's that entire library with the frequencies to be able to utilize, but I never knew what to use what for. So to be honest, I never really utilized it, but I love that the company continues to expand the technology and add things in to make it better and better. And so for me now with the homeopathy, that we can type in a symptom. I had that happen recently where a girlfriend was over with her son and he has allergy to animals. Now, anyone who knows me, I have more animals than most people would know what to do with. It's like a zoo where I live. I love all my babies, but he's allergic to particularly dog and cat fur. And so he comes out and he's got all, like, his eyes are red and his face is red and he's having like his reaction. And now normally, we would have reached for like a Zyrtec or whatever they're called, an antihistamine of some description. And I'm like, okay, I will use the homeopathy on him. And so I've typed in the symptom of allergy animal, and imprinted some frequency into some water for him. And then I imprinted the frequencies of the homeopathy into the sugar pillules that I had. And like Becky was talking about before with her friend overseas who saw an immediate reaction, that because it was a physical one, I was the same. I literally watched these symptoms go down, and I was like, it was just such a pleasure to be like, yes, like I know that this works, but to physically see it in front of you is like a whole new thing. But for me, it was like, I would love to use more homeopathy, but I didn't know how. Whereas now that we can type in a symptom and it gives us the profile of whatever the homeopathy is that we need to use, I'm now confident in imprinting frequencies of anything homeopathy into, whether it be the sugar pillules or the water. So I love that, you know, I'm 12, 18 months down the track now and am utilizing different aspects of the scanning device and learning so much more as time goes on. It really is, I feel, you're right, like a journey of you learn as you go. But now we do have that support from a learning perspective, and you can take that sort of as far as you want to go. So can you share with me how how it's improved your business and the greatest change that you've probably experienced in utilizing the scanning device within your business?
What I really focus on, Beck, is the inner voice, because I don't have a following where, you know, I'm a practitioner in the form that maybe Becky is. Following is more, you know, just a health issues, you know, they're just kind of curious. So one of the things that I use a lot is the inner voice, because I know how powerful it is. It is the one thing that I was able to use and get myself
Oh, I think we're losing you again. I think you're frozen again, Tammy. So I think what Tammy was talking about there is with the inner voice scan, being able to pick up what's emotionally going on in the body based on the voice. So what I love about the inner voice scan is it picks up what octaves are missing in the voice and then correlates through to what's going on in the body. And then we're able to balance those emotions out with the balancing frequencies embedded into music that are created specifically for you. And I love that more than anything. You know, as I was saying when I was talking to Dr. Becky before, yesterday I had to put myself in timeout because I was just so overwhelmed. And I knew it was, you know, and stress is one of the biggest things that, you know, affects our health. And I don't want to be stressed, and I don't need to be, particularly when I've got this technology literally in the palm of my hand. So I think that that's kind of what Tammy was sort of talking about there when it comes to what we call an inner voice scan. But, you know, when I'm talking to people, it's really about that emotional balance scan as well. And what I love too about this device for those who are wanting to earn an income, whether it be promoting what we do in the work of frequency or not, even just to have a device, and you can actually sell programs by running frequency for people. You know, if you want to do emotional balance scans, you can charge for that. You know, you might run frequency for someone for a week or a month, and there are packages that we do offer, particularly as a collective. We offer packages to our clients. I think most always come to the conclusion that, hey, I could be doing this myself and using it every day. But as an initial tool, it's great for people to be able to experience and pay a small fee for us to do that as professionals. So yeah, it's in whatever it looks like. There's definitely a lot of different opportunities here, but first and foremost, and more importantly than anything, for us, it really is about helping people. So sorry, Tammy, you froze a little bit. So
Yeah, I think I had too many windows open. I've been doing some of my studies for my doctorate. So anyway, but yes, the inner voice has been a very powerful program that I use. I do monthly inner voice with clients.
yeah, amazing. And so, Tammy, in closing, if there was one thing that you could recommend to the people on the call or watching the recording today, what would it be?
Jump in, give it a try. And if
Yeah.
you already have it, then please be at the day of discovery. Come with us, learn as much as you can. It's an incredible time. Be on all the company Zoom calls if you already have the unit. If you can't watch them, when they do them, then please rewatch the replays, because that is where you're going to be kept up to date. But if you've never had an AO scan, report or a scan done, then reach out to the person that invited you here and give it a try. You'll be quite amazed, and just see for yourself what it can do for you or your family.
Yeah, I get goosebumps as you say that. I couldn't agree more. For those who haven't experienced it before, I think it's just an incredible opportunity for you to just experience it. As I say, if we had inner voice and nothing else, it would be incredible. But to be able to see what's going on in the body, and that's where it's educational, to be able to have that. Knowledge is only power if we use it right. So I do agree. So thank you so much. And just as our disclaimer, of course, this is an educational tool. We do not claim to cure, prevent, diagnose in any which way. But please, we do encourage you to reach out to the person who either shared this with you today, or if you're watching the replay, please reach out to the person who has sent this to you, because I can guarantee you will not be sorry. So on behalf of the Frequency Soul Collective, we would love to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Becky Coots-Kimberly and the beautiful Tammy Ward. Ladies, it is always such a pleasure. And we would love to do this more often with you all, because we just love you so much. And I will absolutely be at Day of Discovery. I cannot wait to see you all in person. And thank you to everyone here for joining us today, and taking the time out of your day to share with us as well. So I do truly believe that this is an incredible opportunity for each and every one of us to take the power of our own health and wellness back into our own hands, and truly get out there and help others who are in need. And so we thank you, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you and goodbye.